What's up, y'all? It's your boy Mighty Moth here, back with another video. Today I'm gonna basically re-go over my opinion now that I've done a little bit more research. I just today watched Talkative Try's video on the Q&A coverage and all the stuff that wasn't in the 40-minute clip that I initially watched because, like I said, I was at work. I just kind of skimmed through it, the 40 minutes, and was like, okay, I mean, that's cool. I'm kind of excited, but I don't like this, I don't like this, whatever, whatever. So big shout out to him. If you haven't seen it, it's a great video, all inclusive, all encompassing, tells you right to the point what you need to know, chopped up into bite-sized segments. You can pick through, see what you want, throw the rest to the wayside. You get right down to the nitty-gritty. But we're going to focus most on the warrior and on the changes that we like. Basically, a lot of unique encounters coming, like 40 some unique encounters, unique tablets, new tablets, towers are changing. The Huntress is coming out, 2 ascendancies for that. One with 3 rings and increased rings and amulets, which is going to be incredibly powerful now that Ingenuity is getting nerfed. So it's just going to make it even more meta. The other one basically is like an Amazon, and it allows you to, I guess, basically compel a rare monster to do your bidding at your will. You get to pick and choose which one it is. There's a Witch Ascendancy that looks super cool. It's like an aura debuff, buff, minion summoner, which you can socket in like a gem that gets more power, like 100% of its power, which is super cool. It's basically what I tried to do with my Warbringer by running Blasphemy with Temporal Chains in it. But imagine you get Blasphemy with the Whispers of Doom, that ring that gives you an additional curse, and the Ascendancy gives you an additional curse as well. So you can run like a ton of curses, run a Scepter with a bunch of buffs on it. You get Unholy Might, which gives you like an increased extra damages chaos to your allies, and I think even yourself, maybe, I'm not sure. So that's cool. The Mercenary one, which basically gives you like a call-in artillery attack, and you can scale that. Its attack speed with a stat and its damage with a stat. So kind of more stat stacking, and like you get totem, like a totem-based ascendancy as well as some other things. The Warrior Ascendancy at first glance looked completely just uninteresting. It looked like hot garbage. After going over it, I'm not convinced it's going to be good by any means, but like it's better than I initially thought. You get like 20% strength, you get 15% max life. The real sellers are the one I believe is like 75% of your physical damage is taken as fire damage or something like that. And then you get increases to your fire resistance, and your fire resistance actually gives you cold and lightning res at 50% the value, so you can just stack a ton of fire res, blah blah blah. So those are cool, but the downside is you have to wear a white chest piece. Now, why that's such a downside is your chest piece is where you get the most of whatever you're using. So evasion, you can get like 2400 evasion on a good chest piece. You can get like 850 energy shield on a good chest piece. You can get 2600 armor on a good chest piece. And there's a ton of nodes that give you like 80% increase of defenses on equipped body armor. And then you have the increases to your maximum. So like you're getting 80% of 850 energy shield, and then you're getting 200% increased maximum energy shield, which is also giving you an increase of that energy shield. So it's like missing your chest piece is just detrimental to your survival. Like you wearing a 400 armor chest piece as opposed to 2600, or a 300 evasion chest piece as opposed to 2400, or 140 energy shield as opposed to 800 is, I don't know if it's a good enough trade-off for me. And there's nothing on it that I've seen that gives you spirit. Like there's not a single node that gives spirit, I don't believe. I would have to go back through and look, but I'm almost positive it's not on there. Uh, but again, Talkative Try, he's got everything, links and all that, so you can just go hit up his channel and you'll find it there. So the main takeaway is there's going to be a new crafting system that they basically didn't even talk about where you can take two items that have something that you want. All right, and they could have multiple things that you want, or they could just, this one has one thing, this one has another. Like, for example, you have uh, a two-handed hammer. One has 7 to melee skills over here, and one has 150 physical damage over here. And you just say, I want this from this, and I want this from that. And you have like a 40% chance that it's going to work out and it's going to hit and the item is created and you're good. But there's also like a 60% chance that it doesn't happen and those two items are just gone. But the more modifiers you pick, the less your chances of success are. It's like high risk, high reward. So you wouldn't want to do it with like super end game items if you don't have a replacement for it. Like it's not a guarantee by any means, but it's a little bit more deterministic than any of the other crafting is, right? You say I want 150% fizz and I want 7 to melee skills and I'll exalt the other modifiers on it and hopefully I get flat fizz and hopefully I get attack speed. If not, it's fine. This is bare minimum what I need right now. Um, I I think that's one of the things I'm most excited for. The encounters, like the Rogue Exiles, the 100 new unique items, that's super dope. 100 new support gems, that's awesome. They said 25 new skills, but I'm pretty sure that's like including the spear weapon set skills. So it's like summon Roa, which again melee is just kind of like SOL because you don't want to use it at melee range because if you get knocked off of it, it's certain death. So it's just like another thing that spellcasters and range have over melee. And then the Spectre, which is just super cool if you can get a bunch of those Spectres and you handpick what monster types you want. Like you just have ant lions just charging and just knocking everything back. And then you have, say, one of the expedition runic monsters that you just decided I want you, and it's dropping like a gigantic AoE of death somewhere because those guys hit incredibly hard. And all monsters have like special spells and stuff now. The main takeaway from the Q&A after like going back after seeing Talkative Try's video and like really dissecting the other interviews like DM and them did is you're going to get changes to everything. Like everything you thought you knew, the way your skill gems scaled, that's changing. The mana cost of them's changing. The passive tree's changing. Uniques are changing. Like I believe the shield I use that gives me all the rarity, that's going to be just gutted. Even though there's like they basically explained it's pointless to stack that much rarity because of the diminishing returns that's built into the system, but they don't want you to have an avenue to even attain that much rarity, though it's a diminishing return. So that item is basically gone as far like it's just not going to be that powerful anymore. I'm not sure why, but whatever. So they basically said we either have to redo the way rarity works because at 100% plus, you're getting 40% more currency, like rare currency, than you would get if you didn't have it. But I mean, I guess 100% rarity or even 200% rarity, you're not really giving up that much. But with the nerf to ingenuity, you kind of are. Because if you're taking rarity on a ring over a prefix, like a damage modifier, or you're taking rarity as a suffix over a resistance, because now you're going to get less of an increase. So you're going to have to get resistances on other gear so that rarity suffix cannot exist there anymore. You're not going to be able to get 300 rarity and get your resistances capped super easy and have all this damage. Like ingenuity was a big part of why builds were able to just kind of not worry about certain things and just go full glass cannon, because you could just solve your resistances or just stack a ass ton of stats on your rings and then you were set. Like you didn't need anything else. I'm hoping that everything they said is true, and there's like a gigantic list of balance changes, especially to mobs, because they want to slow the gameplay down. But like blocking and parrying is not going to be something you can even do. It's going to be completely inconsequential as a mechanic because you'll never do it unless they slow the encounters down to enable you to actually use it. Because if you block one attack, but you have in a breach, you have 16 other monsters within a half of a second that are still hitting you. So we'll see how that goes. But the main thing I'm hoping to take away from is the passive tree changes because the warrior in about every facet of the imagination, speed, it's the slowest. Power, it's the weakest. Like there's not very many warrior builds that are gonna without, let's say, using the herald skills that are gonna clear content super quickly. And aside from Hammer of the Gods, there's not really very many single target options for mace skills. They just aren't that good. But that's going to be the topic, the main topic of today's discussion is the passive tree. So with that, we're going to dive in to the passive tree. Now, if you'll look here, what I did was I searched for any node that said reduced and seen what it was. Like here you see it has reduced spell damage but increased cast speed. This is increased cast speed but reduced cast speed, you know, kind of like a little trade-off. But if you notice, most of these that say reduced, most of them are like either a net good or they're just a total positive, or they're canceled out by another node right next to it. So you have certain things, for example, like you get reduced critical hit chance, but you get like increased damage if you've crit recently, or you get increased cast speed if you hit with a different spell type, like so you can get up to like 18% increased cast speed. One of my personal favorites, the reduced maximum life but increased maximum energy shield. For a lot of people, they don't really have that much life, so it's not that big of a deal. This one though, you reduce the spell area of effect damage, but then you increase the area of effect, and then on the other hand, you reduce the area of effect, but you increase the spell area damage. So it's actually a net positive if you take both because the increase far outweighs the reduction of both. And we're just going to keep going here. You know, it's just crazy to me that those cancel each other out. That's like reduced curse duration, so that's just a positive. Offerings have reduced maximum life. That, I mean, you can take that however you want to take that. Reduced life for the ice crystals, that can actually be good because you get more overkill damage, right? Because if they have less life, the more damage you do, it's more overkill. That's increased attack speed and reduced cost of skills. That's just good, right? That's like just a net positive. It's obviously spaghettification. Everyone's using it. It's good. Well, that's reduced effective chill on you. That doesn't seem bad. Reduced poison duration, but you basically get to apply poison to an extra target. I mean, reduced cost of skills. Reduced cost of skills, that's pretty straightforward. Reduced charges, flash charges, that's, I mean, pretty straightforward, good. I mean, only thing here is you get reduced damage, but you get increased area of effect and increased attack speed. And attack speed means more to damage than damage does for most of those builds. And I mean, that one, reduced mana costs or while moving, or reduced mana regeneration while stationary. Like, or my fault. I may have read that wrong, but again, all these are basically net positives. Aside from this one, the reduced attack speed is kind of crazy. Those are the nodes I'm going to be getting into. But these also offset each other. So you get a 30% reduced evasion rating if you've been hit recently, and 100% increased evasion rating if you haven't been hit recently. And then the other node is the reverse of that. So you just get a 70% increase of evasion either way, right? Because you get 100% and minus 30, and then 100% the other way and minus 30. Like, increased movement speed and reduced cost. Like, all these are reduced grenades. Like, all these things are just net positives. Well, now we're going to get into the warrior side of the tree. You get reduced damage but increased critical hit chance for your herald skills. You get reduced maximum life but increased damage and leech. So that's like Then you get reduced attack speed, but you get 40% increased damage. That's kind of counterintuitive. You're already attacking slow. Again, reduced attack speed, increased damage. Reduced attack speed, reduced attack speed, reduced attack speed, reduced attack speed. All those nodes have reduced attack speed on them. So it's like, what are we doing here? And if that wasn't bad enough, if you the only way to get true damage is to scale your skill gems. And look, reduced maximum mana, reduced maximum mana, reduced maximum mana. If you take all those, that's like a net 25% reduced maximum mana there. I mean, that node's alright, I guess. These I don't get. Reduced mana regeneration rate while moving. Why would I, like, I'm always moving. And then you get the reduced movement speed to regenerate 1% of your life per second while stationary. You don't want to be stationary ever, and you want to be moving fast. So why would you waste 4 passive skill points in order to get that? And then, like, you get block chance, but you reduce your global defenses by a quarter. Or, well, by 25%. It's not multiplicative, but you get what I mean. So then you have to figure out how does all of this apply, and you have to change various things. So that's what we're going to look at next. So I took off this hammer because it has attack speed on it, and I put on just a plain Jane old hammer. And what we're going to do here, I have Ingenuity Belt at an 80%, and this ring has a little bit of flat fizz on it, and it has 28% increased damage, which is going to come out to 50% increased damage, much like the nodes had, or they have like 40. And you'll see it goes up by like 450 damage. Not a whole lot, but it's a decent increase. Now, 25% attack speed actually does more than 50% increased damage. But again, the attack speed, it says more, so it's multiplicative. So let's see what it would be if we had more damage. Okay, so multiplicative damage, that's actually more than you got with the more attack speed. Well, now, if you compare the two, you're getting a little more for the more damage than you're getting for the more attack speed. But what if you socketed in both the more damage and the more attack speed? So if you used something, I don't know, like Heft, for example. So we, my fault, heavy swing. So now you get 35% more, but you get less attack speed. It barely goes up because the attack speed and the damage go hand in hand. If you slow your attack speed at even a fraction of the amount you increase your damage, you basically get a small marginal net gain. So what if we went in and we took these nodes? What are you anticipating our damage would be if we go from, about 2,000 damage and now we're getting an increase of 12, 15, 15, 50? So we went up a decent amount, but the main reason for that is I don't have anything that gives increased damage. So these initial boosts to increase damage have the most value. So if you had a build that had a bunch of increased damage already, you wouldn't see that big of an increase. So let's take a few more nodes. Let's take all this stuff out. And we're going to go over here and we're going to take all this. So now we're just getting a bunch of damage, and then we're taking damage and one node of 5% reduced attack speed. Again, it went up, but it didn't go up by as much as you would think, which to me is a little bit odd. So we're going to have to do a little bit more testing. Okay, so we're just going to look at it as if we're only taking these four nodes. So we're getting a total of -8 attack speed and 92 roughly attack damage, which modifies all modifiers. So if you look, we're at 1840 DPS. You can see there's not really any lightning damage, so we put these on, it goes up to 2860. And we're modifying the lightning damage with it, as well as the physical damage on the gloves and the physical damage on our weapons. So now we're going to take those nodes out, and we're going to take a 5% increase to attack speed and 55 physical damage. So we're not even altering the lightning damage. And you can see we're at a higher damage already, baseline, because all we have is physical. Well, now you're like, okay, well, what about when we put the lightning on? What do you know? We're doing the same damage as we were with those other nodes. Like, it's no better. I mean, if you have a whole bunch of elemental damage, then it could be better. But it's essentially not, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But I just wish they would rethink them. And then they have nodes like this where you reduce your maximum mana. So those four nodes is 25%. And then you have these nodes up here for an additional 20% minus. And then you increase your mana cost by 20%. So you get 45% less maximum mana and your skills cost 20% more. I'm just saying, Warrior Passive Tree needs help. If you think so too, comment down below. Give us a like. We'll see you on the next video. Let me know any of your hopeful changes. Let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. That's it for the rambling. You guys know what it is. Stay blessed. You are enough. And as always, stay mouthy, guys.